TV News. We come to you from the New Vision newsroom, and we have news around Uganda and happening elsewhere. Now we'll start off with news coming in. The president has cautioned newly sworn-in ministers against any involvement in corruption, saying this will displease him if any is found guilty. He urged them to resist being arrogant, selfish, and greedy, reminding them any government official is a great betrayer to Ugandans who are desperately yearning for service delivery. The president was speaking at the swearing-in ceremony of the newly appointed ministers, announced in a cabinet change that he made on 14th December 2019. The ceremony took place today at State House in Entebbe. Now, President Museveni explained that some of the appointments and changes were brought about by reports of corruption in some government ministries and departments. The president used the occasion to caution the new ministers against being trapped by the cancer of corruption, but rather serve Ugandans with dignity, honesty, and faithfulness. President Museveni further explained that he had not made any changes in cabinet because he was mindful of the need to have stability in many of the government ministries on account of an ongoing government work. He revealed that the new appointments were meant to recognize the leaders who always stand and defend the masses and the plight of the ordinary people. He urged the ministers to always stand with the masses, reminding them that the National Resistance Movement is a mass party that derives all its strength. Museveni welcomed the youthful members who have joined the cabinet, saying he deliberately appointed them to join the elders in cabinet and learn from them. He prayed that they would perform their ministerial duties diligently. Prime Minister Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports Janet Kataha Museveni, several cabinet ministers, permanent secretaries and relatives of the new ministers attended the ceremony. The ministers sworn in today include the Minister for Local Government, Raphael Majezi, State Ministers Beatrice Anywal for Environment, Helen Adoa for Fisheries, Robina Nabanja for Health, Dennis Oboa, State Minister for Sports, Peter Ogwang, ICT, and Molly Kamkama for Economic Monitoring. Now, moving on, troubled Rwemiyaga County Member of Parliament in Sembabule District, Theodore Sechikubo, has been remanded to Masaka Government Prison over 7 counts related to the 2010, violent NRM party elections. Now, Dismas Buregeya compiled the story.
Rwemiyaga County Member of Parliament Theodore Sechikubo was arrested by the police after he reportedly defied the foot and mouth disease quarantine imposed on Sembabule to deter the spread of the disease. He appeared before the Masaka Chief Magistrates Court, chaired by Deogracius Sejemba, amid tight security today.
The first count is unlawful possession of a firearm, inciting into violence.
Earlier on, supporters of Sechikubo had demonstrated at Masaka Central Police Station demanding his release. Other cases preferred against Sechikubo include being in possession of unlawful ammunition, inciting violence, destruction of NRM party electoral materials, obstructing police officers on duty, and threatening violence. The state, led by Amina Akesa, stated that on August 2, 2010, during the electoral polls for the NRM party primaries, Sechikubo was in possession of a pistol without a valid certificate. She said Sechikubo threatened violence against Emmanuel Sechimpi, the former NRM registrar for Sembabule district. Sechikubo, who was represented by Counsel Medad Segona, Samuel Muizi, and Alexander Lule, denied the charges. He said as he shed tears, "I plead not guilty, and I do not understand the charges." Responding to the bail application for Sechikubo, the state, led by Akesa, objected on grounds that Sechikubo jumped bail on the same files in 2010.
That you, Sechikubo, and the other people still at large, on the 2nd of August 2010, at Sembabule District Headquarters Playground, you did act statutory to bring death or physical injury to voters who had gathered to elect district national resistance movement structures.
Akesa said Ssekikubo does not respect court, saying on August 4, 2010, he presented many sureties but never appeared again until today. She said the then court had granted cash bail of 200,000 shillings. Akesa said being in possession of unlawful deadly weapons renders Ssekikubo dangerous. She noted that state witnesses may face interference if Ssekikubo is granted bail. Among Ssekikubo's sureties were the Masaka District Woman Member of Parliament Babirye Kabanda, the Bukoto East Member of Parliament Florence Namayanja, Buyaga West Member of Parliament Barnabas Tinkasimire, and the Sembabule District Woman Member of Parliament Hanifa Kawoya. Also, there was Benson Kamgisha, the District Councillor representing Lwemiyaga. The Masaka Chief Magistrate Deo Sejemba said he needed ample time until January the 14th to make a ruling over the matter.
Now, the year 2020 marks the beginning of a new decade, and if you are a farmer, there's no better way to start this decade than being part of the Harvest Money Expo that will be held next month.
Themed farming as a business, this will be the biggest gathering of farming experts and service providers from Uganda and around the world, according to Robert Kabushenga, the CEO of Vision Group. He was speaking today at Vision Group head offices in Kampala. Kabushenga said, the focus this time will be on farming activities as a business. At the expo, you will find exhibitors and experts who will help you with what you require to do your farming as a business. There will be trainers to guide you as well. This is the 4th edition of the expo, and like in the previous expos, there will be training for farmers and matchmaking for businesses. Kabushenga said, the event has improved and it is going to be better this year. Come learn from the experts and purchase authentic agricultural utilities. Come see how to improve the quality of your products, among others. Experts will be available to show the requirements you need to sell your produce, such as maize, poultry, and coffee to foreign countries. Come and get to know the most selling products. All you need is to attend. Scientists from the National Agricultural Research Organization and other entities will also be available to showcase the different innovations to make farming better. Kabushenga was thankful to the expo sponsors, who include the Netherlands Embassy in Uganda, Inksol, Tafi, ABI Trust, and Champrisa International Limited. He commended the sponsors and the exhibitors for being part of the Harvest Money Expo, which is transforming lives and the agricultural sector in Uganda. Kabushenga said, together with the sponsors, we hold this expo at the beginning of the year to enable farmers plan well ahead of the year. According to the Vision Group Chief Executive Officer Robert Kabushenga, the expo will be held from February 14th to 16th at Mandela National Stadium in Nambole, Wakiso District. Entrance to the expo has remained the same like in the previous expos at 20,000 shillings per day for those interested in the exhibition, and trainings and 10,000 shillings for those who want to access Nambole for the exhibitions only. For exhibitors who are interested in being part of the expo, they can contact the Vision Group Events Manager Jacqueline Taweka on 0772 354940 or email to jtaweka@newvision.co.ug or visit Vision Group offices.
Now, public universities have been called upon to focus on science courses such as medicine, nursing, and engineering. The call was made by the President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, over the weekend as he oversaw the graduation of 1,513 students of Gulu University, emphasizing that the government can pay science teachers according to world standards, but the institutions need to focus and produce about 84,000 doctors that the country needs.
According to President Yoweri Museveni, public universities need to focus on science courses such as medicine, nursing and engineering and produce 84,000 doctors for Uganda's population.
I agree with Professor Kayanja with the Faculty of Medicine, Barra University, like the one you have here, that's good. The products of medicine are going to be needed for a long time. Product of medicine, both doctors and nurses and midwives. Because remember, it's just because we don't have enough budget. But according to WHO, we need one doctor for every 500 people of population. Which means that Uganda today, with a population of 42 million, we need 84,000 doctors if we had the money to pay them. But now, I think all the doctors in government and private, they can't be more than 5,000.
The call came from the president over the weekend when he presided over the graduation of 1,513 students of Gulu University. He emphasized that in order to help the institutions to achieve this, the government can pay science teachers according to world standards.
For the children of the rich, they can go to private universities and pay for studying Latin and Greek and women study women there. But let our public universities just focus on the science disciplines. And I can assure you we shall pay adequately for them. That's not a problem. But the problem is this lack of focus. That's the problem really. Even when it comes to the paying, the remuneration, we can pay the science teachers very well according to world standards.
The president noted that the products of medicine will be in demand for a long time, both locally and internationally.
But also the nurses and midwives, even abroad. Europeans don't die quickly, so they need a lot of care. So, that is a line which for sure is a good line. Then with Professor Kayanja, we started the Faculty of Science Education, science teachers. I don't know whether you have started that one here. That one is a big demand in the secondary schools. The teachers of physics, the teachers of chemistry, the teachers of biology, the teachers of mathematics. There you can't, the teachers of biology, there you are not likely to go wrong.
This year, Gulu University passed 1,513 graduates in 47 academic programs.
In this particular graduation, Your Excellency, we have passed out 1,513 graduates from 47 academic programs. Out of these, we have 8 international students, 4 female, 4 male. Your Excellency, following your guidance, we have continuously been revising our programs to focus on relevance and employability in Uganda.
Flanked by the Minister for Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, Engineer Hilary Onek, and the NRM Deputy Secretary Richard Tudwong, the President was informed that employers give positive feedback to Gulu University pertaining the quality of their graduates.
The anecdotal feedback that we get from our employers, the employers of our graduates, tells us that our graduates go out well equipped with both academic and practical skills which make them very competitive in the world of work. The graduates in agriculture particularly are doing particularly well. lessons because we use the farm-based practical teaching in which we teach the students on practical farms, on available equipment that they can immediately guide farmers or deploy themselves.
As the graduates celebrated their achievement in the presence of President Yoweri Museveni, who was attending a graduation at the university for the first time, Museveni further extended support to the university by donating 100 million shillings to its SACCOs and discouraged strikes at the university.
Now it is also my pleasure to contribute 100 million shillings to the SACCO. I thank you for not going on strike, because strikes are not part of the curriculum, you remember? I congratulate you and I wish you good luck. Thank you so much.
Story compiled by Joseph Omago for New Vision TV News.
Congratulations indeed. We'll take a quick break and return with more news. Welcome back from that break. Now we look at the trial of 6 people accused of attacking a magistrate at Buganda Road Court last year has been pushed to January the 23rd. Now Farouk Kasule was in court and has this report.
When the group appeared in court today, State Attorney Miriam Njuchi informed court that investigation into the matter is still underway. This prompted the magistrate to adjourn the case until 23rd January, when the trial is expected to kick off. The suspect's bail was extended until then. Simon Wanyera, Abdallah Waiswa, Augustine Ojobile, Joel Kabali, Fatuma Abenabio, and Moses Katumba are indicted with inciting violence, contempt of court, malicious damage to property, and common assault. They were arrested on August 2nd last year following an attack on Grade 1 magistrate Gladys Kamasanyu as she was passing an 18-month jail sentence to Dr. Stella Nyanzi over cyber harassment. Prosecution alleges that the 6 accused and others still at large on August 2nd, 2019, at Buganda Road Court incited court audience to do an act of violence against Her Worship Kamasanyu by reason of her office. It further alleges that the accused, also within the premises of the court in which a judicial proceeding was being heard, showed disrespect in speech manner to reference of the said proceeding and the magistrate presiding by abusing her with obscene words and throwing a bottle of mineral water at the magistrate. It also alleged that Kabali, Wanyera, Abenabio, and others still at large unlawfully damaged or destroyed walk-in detector machines, the property of Buganda Road Court.
After disclosure by state, bail extended for A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, and A6 till then.
Buganda Broadcasting Corporation has been dragged to court by Kingdom Kampala Limited, a mall and shopping complex, over trespass. The national broadcaster is reportedly occupying part of the land that belongs to Kingdom Kampala. We have more details.
Kingdom Kampala filed its suit through Walusimbi and company advocates, seeking several declarations that an order be issued to UBC to vacate its land. Kingdom Kampala claims that Uganda Broadcasting Corporation has a generator structure in place which encroaches on a chunk of its land. Court documents indicate that Uganda Broadcasting Corporation is also a registered proprietor of the adjoining land on Nile Avenue. The Deputy Court Registrar, Flavia Nabakoza, has summoned Uganda Broadcasting Corporation to file its defense within 15 days.
Now we take a look at what's happening in business. In business tonight, cryptocurrency victims have stormed Mengo Magistrates Court with mixed feelings as some demand for the release of prime suspect Andrew Kagwa Kulumba from prison, while others demanded that he be kept at Luzera prison until he can fully pay them. The victims, who came with placards with words asking the president to intervene in their plight, said they took loans from money lenders and even sold their valuable properties and invested the money in the cryptocurrency business, but now they have lost everything. However, some victims argued that the only way they can get their money back is by releasing Kagwa because he can't pay them while in prison. Though they came in hundreds at court, Kagwa is only facing one count of obtaining over 300 million shillings from Pastor John Warakira and members of his church. Meanwhile, Magistrate Joel Wegoy has remanded Kulumba back to Luzira until Thursday this week, when court will hear from prosecution about the state of inquiries in the matter, because today he was brought to court late by prison authorities. That was news in business. Now, into our special report, we look at, should the corrupt be pardoned?
Corruption stands out as one problem that stood in the way of service delivery in 2019 and past years. It is still a big problem.
When we go to Kamuli and Kayunga, we have relatives there. Villagers ask us, I want the Minister of Energy and the Minister of Works to tell us why the bridge has not been constructed as per the plan and the contract. And where did the money go?
Honourable members, I've been following that matter for several months. The money was eaten in the Ministry of Energy, 24 billion. I gave you the names of the eaters. I've been waiting for action. I've not seen it. March. Since March.
In nearly all worship places, preachers in their messages ushering in the new year condemned corruption and called for the fight against the vice.
Today, there's come a problem in our country where politics has been commercialized. And people are elected because they give so much money, even a bar of soap or a bottle of water.
In his 2020 sermon at Namirembe Cathedral, the outgoing Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, the Right Reverend Stanley Ntagali, stressed, the corruption war begins with you and me. If you're not corrupt, you can preach the gospel against corruption because you will have broken a part of the corruption chain.
Uganda has a major problem of corruption, and take it from me, it is greed, it is selfishness, self-centeredness that has given birth to what we call corruption as a symptom. Let us see what is that is making Ugandans so self-centered that they are not caring about their country and promoting the good wealth of our country.
Stories of an unaccounted for, diverted and stolen public funds have been reported by the media. And stories of poor service delivery severely affecting the people and sometimes resulting in death are also reported and linked to corruption. Several anti-graft agencies are working, but the problem seems insurmountable.
So corruption is a symptom. It's not the real thing we are handling. We need to deal with greed. Many people have become self-centered. They are greedy, they want to satisfy themselves, and therefore become corrupt.
The positive thing is, many agree that corruption is evil and must be dealt with. But it is hard to figure out the corrupt's views. They probably consider themselves as smart and think their fraudulent acts cannot be detected. In other words, they think the non-corrupt are stupid. It is also possible they assume they are untouchable, which explains why they act with impunity. Besides, among the corrupt, there could be those who think it is normal to dip their hands into the till. Rampant corruption has desensitized the people to the extent they have taken it as a normal way of earning. Some job seekers are only motivated to apply where it is easy to steal and where corruption is sanitized as deals. It is common to hear young people saying they cannot work in places where there are no deals. This explains why some districts considered poor have unfilled positions because there is nothing to steal. The existence of the several agencies to confirm that the fight against corruption has been going on. Their failure could mean the corrupt have outwitted the fighters. It is also possible some individuals in the fight have either been corrupted or are corrupt themselves, which complicates the war against graft. In the president's New Year's speech, President Yoweri Museveni warned,
"The NRM has opened a war on corruption. We shall defeat corruption. There is no corrupt individual that we cannot bring down. All we want is evidence. We never want to be unfair to anybody. Stay tuned on this."
Last year, the president participated in a walk against corruption, which became a subject of debate. Some thought he was not best suited to participate because of widespread corruption. Others were in support, arguing it was a strong statement against corruption. He also used the occasion to tell the country that he was wealthy and not corrupt. As part of the war against corruption, other leaders and public servants are yet to come out and make the same statement publicly. If this happened, the corrupt, if they actually know they are, would be identified by their silence. When the National Resistance Movement (NRM) took power in 1986, the fight against corruption and misuse of power was, and still is, on the 10-point program, which is a specifically thought-out checklist for fundamental change. In the early years of the NRM in power, there were few stories about corruption. Maybe there was nothing to steal or it was underreported. As the stories grew over the years, coincidentally with the economy improving and a more prying media, the government responded by setting up anti-corruption measures, including a fully fledged court to deal with related cases. Now, with corruption persisting, it is time to consider conditional amnesty for the corrupt. In Uganda's history, since 1986, armed rebels fighting to topple the government have been offered amnesty upon denouncing rebellion. These include fighters of all dissident groups, including the Holy Spirit movement led by Alice Lakwena, Joseph Kony's Lord's Resistance Army, and Peter Otai's Uganda People's Army. The amnesty partly contributed to ending the rebellion in Uganda, as the perpetrators found it easy landing ground. Similarly, pardoning the corrupt could contribute to fighting graft. It would involve making a law prescribing confession as a precondition for pardon. All those who have stolen public funds publicly confess, show how much and how they stole and used the money. As part of the amnesty, property accumulated from the ill-gotten money is confiscated by the state. There are some similarities between rebels and the corrupt. Rebels ended people's lives, destroyed properties, and disrupted development. The corrupt acts denied people services, leading to poor health, death, and constricting development overall. Besides confession and pardon, spot checks on people's properties and asking for instant declarations could be another weapon to fight the evil. With many agencies and various methods, the war against corruption can be intensified and won.
That's all we had for you tonight. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time. Have a lovely evening, but I leave you with a fact file.